Hello, I'm the Nostalgia Critic. I remember it so you don't have to. Christopher fucking Walken. What can you say about him? No, really, what can you say about him?
I don't know.
He is the strangest actor on screen. His delivery is odd, his expression's unique, and there's just nobody else like him. He's like an alien on holiday who decided to relax on Earth and just do whatever the hell he wants. And let's be honest, he is awesome. Whether you think he's a good actor or a bad actor, there's no denying that he is just so much fun to watch. His long pauses, spontaneous whispering, and emphasis of words that, quite frankly, shouldn't be emphasized, is irresistible. But let's also be honest, he's phenomenally awkward, and he makes for many wonderfully uncomfortable moments. And I'm counting down the top 11 of them today. Why top 11? Because I like to go one step.
Yawn.
Okay, you know why. This is the top 11 most awkward Christopher Walken moments.
Okie dokie, artichoke. Bruce, shame on you.
The ice is gonna break!
This guy is unfucking believable.
I gotta have more cowbell.
I have spilled champagne all over your boobs.
Oh boy.
Number 11. The death threat from Joe Dirt. I'd like to say this is one of his stranger roles, but we still have 10 more slots to fill. In this movie, he plays a particularly strange school janitor. There's one scene where a lab experiment goes wrong and Walken is in the hallway dancing. That's strange enough, but then he just suddenly does this.
What'd you say? Oh, yeah. You're talking to me all wrong. It's the wrong tone. You do it again, I'll stab you in the face with a soldering iron.
Where did that come from? Why is he threatening a fire extinguisher? Did a fire extinguisher kill his dog? But then it all comes full circle, sort of, when Kid Rock enters into the scene.
Hey, Dirt. I thought I told you, buddy. Nobody wants you around.
Hey! You're talking to my guy all wrong. It's the wrong tone. Do it again, I'll stab you in the face with a soldering iron.
Yeah, that just happened. Christopher Walken just threatened Kid Rock with a soldering iron. Holy fuck. Nobody can get away with that but Walken. Nobody. If there was a king of soldering irons, he would be it. But why was he threatening a fire extinguisher to begin with? I guess we'll never... Hello?
Critic, shame on you.
Whoa! Is this Christopher Walken? The Christopher Walken?
I can see you know your Christopher Walkens well.
Oh, shit, man! This is an honor. I'm like your biggest fan.
Well, you don't act like it.
What?
What are these accusations that I whisper in the middle of a sentence? I never whisper in the middle of a sentence. And this idea that I have long pauses, critic, I never have long pauses.
Well, Mr. Walken, just screw whatever I say, okay? Because as far as I'm concerned, you're the king.
I know, but nevertheless, you must know why I threatened that fire extinguisher in Joe Dirt.
Oh, please, let me know.
I don't remember.
Awesome, I'll take it.
Yes, alright, love you.
Love you too. Bye. What just happened? Number 10. The pie scene from Geely. Considered sort of a classic bad movie, it was rumored that the filming of Geely is what got Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez together. And we can only assume that the viewing of Geely is what broke them up. But there is one scene where Walken comes in and delivers yet another strange and awkward scene. He's talking about some serious shit at first, and for a while it seems like it's going to be a straightforward moment.
This federal prosecutor out here, the one with Starkman's testicular matter clutched in his fist. This very federal prosecutor's little brother. Any of this sound familiar?
But then...
Man, you know what I'd love to do? Get me a big bowl. Pie, some ice cream on it. Good. Put some on your head. Your tongue would slap your brains out trying to get to it. Interested? Sure.
Again, what was that? I don't even think it was in the script. I think Walken just really wanted some pie in the middle of the scene and they decided to keep going with it.
Joey, I know you're my brother, but we can't keep this going anymore.
I'm sorry, I gotta have some pie. What else can you say but pie?
Put some on your head.
Number 9. His performance in the Ripper video game. If you watch Spoonie's videos, you know all about this, and there's no denying that Walken brings his trademark weirdness to this video game cameo.
You come this close to finding out what it's like to be a human shish kebab rotating in one of our fine penal institutions.
My favorite is how he fucking eats that cigar. Shouldn't you at least light it first? It's like a little boy trying to play a grown-up with his father smokes. Yeah, I smoke. I smoke all the time. Also, it's just Walken at his Walkenest. I mean, look at him. He can't stand still.
No, please don't. Not the Herald.
And it's got a doctor named Burton who practically invented the field. She's a real ball breaker, though.
You know what it's like? It's like he's doing an impression of Christopher Walken now. Because even the real Christopher Walken wouldn't be that over the top.
What do I gotta do? Write fuck off in Braille on your forehead? Get out of here.
Plus, who else can actually cut their head open and act like it was just a paper cut? No! Walken's oddities definitely makes this one of the few video games that's just as much fun to watch as it is to play.
This guy is unfucking believable.
Number 8. The Headless Horseman from Sleepy Hollow. This is one of those strange movies that I think was supposed to be bad, but I'm not really sure. It certainly has a lot of those Hammer horror trademarks in it, and I think that's what it was going for. I think. But either way, the funniest part of the movie is Christopher Walken as the Headless Horseman. Good God, what perfect casting is that? You see in the movie, before he got his head chopped off, he was a bloodthirsty madman who loved violence and gore. Look at his teeth. He actually has sharp teeth. How does he eat soup without biting his tongue? On top of that, he never has any dialogue. All he ever says is... How does he even communicate with people? Would being at the drive-thru be a little confusing?
Taco Bell, may I take your order? That's 5 quesadillas, 2 soft tacos, and a large water. Did you want any sauce with that? Medium spicy? All right, I'll give you 5 packets. 7 packets, I got it. Pull up for your total.
Plus, I love this scene where he's almost trying to hit on the Miranda Richardson character. Talk about uncomfortable.
Hey, baby. Are we, gonna do it?
That's fantastic. I love the taste of human blood from a woman's mouth. So bloody. Who else could play the Headless Horseman than a man whose head we're not sure is all there? Number 7. Hello?
Critic, before I go, I just wanted to leave you with some parting words. 2 mice fell into a bucket of cream. One drowned, the other struggled until he drowned. The moral of the story is don't fall into a bucket of cream.
Number 7. The Abduction from Communion. This is based on the supposedly true experience of Whitley Strieber. Supposedly. Apparently Walken plays Strieber in this movie as he relives his questionable kidnapping by aliens. And it's... well, watch.
Here I am, I'm naked. I'm naked.
This is about as silly as you can get without being intentional. You got alien puppets from Spencer's, a dissection of a Tim Burton toy, and a body probe that can probably make you sing like Sarah Brightman. Guys! I'm That's my junk! Luckily, they never do show his cowbells, but this still proves to be one of the strangest things ever. I mean, ever.
I am the dreamer. You are the dream.
Christopher Walken raped by aliens. All I gotta say by this point is, are you really surprised?
Can we talk this over?
Number 6. Any of his dancing sequences. Yep, apparently Christopher Walken can really dance. In fact, he actually started off as a dancer before he became an actor. And let's face it, he ain't half bad. But if we're gonna be honest, it's still a little odd. I mean, there was a penis probe in him a few seconds ago. Isn't it a little weird to see him moving like that? We saw him shake it in films like Pennies from Heaven and Hairspray. In fact, he even shook it with John Travolta in Drag! How delightfully disturbing. But of course, the one we remember most is the Fat Boy Slim video. There's no intro, no explanation, it's just Christopher Walken dancing. That is an education in kick-assiness. It's just so cool to see a guy like that move with so much energy. He just starts off sitting down, and just out of nowhere, starts dancing. He dances through the hotel, jumps off a balcony, starts flying, lands back on the ground, and then sits down again. Hard fucking core. Let's face it, there's no way his dancing couldn't somehow put a smile on your face. Well, maybe almost no way.
Your kindness to me.
Number 5. The reading of Three Little Pigs. I guess on a show called Jonathan Ross, Christopher Walken was brought on to simply read the book of the Three Little Pigs. And you know the phrase a good comedian can make the phone book funny? Well, Christopher Walken is the Groucho Marx of that, because this is hilarious.
In the same village, there was a wolf. This big wolf. Bad wolf. Big bad wolf. With the picture.
Again, it's just his weird inflections. I can't explain it. It's just funny as hell.
No! There's a little pig who knows a wolf when he sees one. Not by the hair on my chinny chin chin. So now the pig has a chin. What do I know?
My favorite is when he just flat out oinks in the middle of the reading. He just oinks!
He built this house from bricks. Smart piggy. Oink, oink.
Why does he do it? Because he's Christopher Walken, and he can fucking get away with it. If you read in a script somewhere Christopher Walken oinks, yeah, you'd buy it. You totally buy it.
Wolfie goes to house number 1. Wolfie knocks on the door. But it's a straw door, so how he knocks on it, I don't know.
There's also a YouTube clip of him reading Lady Gaga's lyrics that's pretty funny too.
I'll get him hot. Show him what I've got. Ooh.
But for me, this is the funniest stuff. I roll over laughing every time.
Wolfie goes down the chimney, he burns. Wolfie burns. Wolfie burns, and Piggy lives. Happily ever after.
It's just downright hilarious, and nobody could read it better.
Next week, Hansel and Gramsel.
Number 4. The Banker and the Country Bears. First of all, I know what you're thinking. They really made a movie out of this shit? Well, yes. Yes, they did. And the shit this shit was based on is just as shitty as the shit you've shit out before. I mean, it's bad. It's really bad. But the one funny thing in all of it is that Christopher Walken plays the evil banker who wants to destroy this place called Bear Hall where the Country Bears used to play.
Take about a half hour to bulldozer to the ground.
Oh, yes. Do that.
What makes this so funny is not how goofy he plays it, but how serious he plays it.
Since that day, I'm plotting my revenge, waiting for the day I destroy the place that brought me misery. Well, that day is tonight.
It's like whenever he's supposed to play something serious, he plays it goofy. When he's supposed to play something goofy, he plays it serious. It's totally backwards.
Do you like the sound of crunching wood? I do.
One of my favorites is when it shows what he does in his off time. He just dances around in his underpants and bunny slippers, and then once in a while, destroy the model of Bear Hall, just for his own amusement.
Oh no! Oh no! Country Bear Hall has been
they crushed.
Yeah, what do you do in your off time? Get laid? Loser.
Oh no!
But on top of that, there's one line that just kills me. As a crowd comes in to save Bear Hall, Walken just has to say this one line, "This is not over, Bears." Pretty silly, but also straightforward. But now listen closely to just how strangely he says it.
This is not over! Bears!
Who talks like that? Nobody does!
This is not over! Bears!
It's like he was saying the line and then in the middle he just realized that there were bears in the movie. This is not over! Bears! Well, he's certainly the only memorable part of this movie. Or I assume he is, considering I just fast forward through any of the scenes without him. But hey, as long as he's there, there's always going to be something good. Oh yeah, and he also does this. Bizarre.
Oh my word!
Number 3. The brother in Annie Hall. This is probably one of the shortest of the Walken roles, but for some reason it really leaves an impact with people. Woody Allen is visiting his girlfriend's family and Walken is her brother. He sits there, doesn't really say much, smiles. It all seems to be going down pretty pleasantly. But yet again, out of nowhere, he says this.
Hi, Dwayne. How's it going?
Can I confess something? Sometimes when I'm driving on the road at night, I see 2 headlights coming toward me. Fast, I have this sudden impulse to turn the wheel quickly, head on into the oncoming car. I anticipate the explosion, the sound of shattering glass, the flames rising out of the flowing gasoline.
Why? Just why? Why would he say that? Why would he confess that? Who is this strange, uncomfortable person?
I have to go now, Dwayne, because I'm due back on the planet Earth.
Oh, and just to make things better, somebody has to drive Alan and his girlfriend home. Guess who they get? That's hilarious. And nothing else is ever made of the scene. It never comes back, they never reference it again. It just comes out of nowhere and disappears just as fast. How wonderful. I don't even know what else I can say except it's just straight up awesome. Hello?
Critic, you listening?
Yeah.
You listening?
Yeah.
You listening?
Yeah.
Listen good.
Jelly donut.
Jelly donut?
Jelly donut.
Goodbye.
I don't know where I am when he calls. Number 2. The Watch from Pulp Fiction. One of the most enjoyable things about Quentin Tarantino is that you never know if the movie is going to be funny, serious, or both. They keep you guessing all the way. This scene is a perfect example of that. Christopher Walken approaches the little boy of the dead soldier. The reason he's there is to pass down a watch that's been passed down from generation to generation.
This was your great-grandfather's war watch, and he wore it every day he was in that war. And great-grandfather gave this watch to Granddad for good luck. Unfortunately, Dane's luck wasn't as good as his old man's. Dane was a Marine, and he was killed, along with all the other Marines at the Battle of Wake Island.
It all sounds very sincere and very touching, but then it goes into just a little too much detail.
The way your dad looked at it, this watch was your birthright. He'd be damned if any slope's going to put the greasy yellow hands on his boy's birthright, so he hid it. In one place he knew he could hide something, his ass. 5 long years he wore this watch, up his ass.
Yikes, that was really gripping until you brought up the ass part.
He died of dysentery. Give me the watch. I hid this uncomfortable hunk of metal up my ass 2 years.
I don't even like going to the proctologist. Ooh. And just like in Annie Hall, he's only in the movie for about 3 minutes. That's it. But also just like in Annie Hall, it left a huge impression. This is one of the shortest, but also one of the most famous scenes in the movie, and we can all see why. It's strange and unpredictable, just like the man himself. That uncomfortable hunk of metal has brought all of us so much joy. And the number 1 most awkward Christopher Walken moment is every appearance on Saturday Night Live. Now don't get me wrong, I love Christopher Walken on Saturday Night Live. The Continental, more cowbell, has me laughing every single time. But let's be honest, his presentation is awful. Every second you can see him reading his lines. In fact, he does that in other movies too. You ever notice that? Look how often he stares off the screen. There's so obviously a cue card there. In fact, look at this scene from the Continental. You actually see him adjusting the cue cards. On top of that, he constantly gets the lines wrong, despite the fact that he's even reading them. There's one opening bit where they actually make fun of the fact that he reads his lines all the time. It's when he tries to sing the song Tomato, Tomato.
You say potato, and I say potato. You say tomato, and I say tomato.
I think you're supposed to say potato, potato.
Jimmy, look! They're all spelled the same on the cards.
Yeah.
And yet he still says a line too early. Watch.
Let's call the whole thing. Let's call the whole thing. Let's not call the whole thing off. Thing off.
And then...
Let's not call the whole thing off.
Even with cue cards, he keeps flubbing it up. The long pauses, the uncomfortable silences, the constant reading. Let's face it, it's impossible not to enjoy. Walken is one of those people where even if he fails, he still somehow ends up winning. Because it's obvious, he doesn't care what you think. He's just doing what he considers fun. And a lot of us can respect that.
I jumped out and pranked him to death with a tire iron. Whammy!
In fact, they even make fun of it on the closing scene in his DVD.
SNL has a great staff of writers who craft every line of the show.
Really? Because when I host, I just say whatever I want. I free associate and I make up the skits and bits right there.
Well, you're a special exception, I think.
Speaking of which, that DVD is for sale, and trust me when I say it's well worth the money. Every appearance he makes is hypnotizing, even if it's painful at times.
Mango, I'm your knight in shining armor, and I love you.
But either way, it's always hilarious. I hope he lives to be like 180, because that means there'll be a lot more SNL sketches in the future. And of course, a lot more cowbell.
I gotta have more cowbell, baby.
And those are my top 11 most awkward Christopher Walken Hello?
Critic, shame on you. How dare you accuse me of always reading my... Hold on 1 second. Lines.
Look, Mr. Walken, I don't care. To me, you'll always be the master of cool. You can do no wrong.
Glorious. Before I go, there's one last thing I want you to remember.
Yeah? What is it?
Are you listening? Are you listening? Are you listening? All right, listen.
God, he's awesome.
I'll stab you in the face with a soldering iron.